Hey, Rock Movers. I cannot wait to introduce you to season four's guest.
Nikki T is now changing the world as she's the founder of MavenHeart. This is a collective community and movement dedicated to empowering women over 40 to reclaim their narratives and live life on their own terms. I know my listeners will relate to this so much because this is my message as well. So my sweet friend Nikki gets us. MavenHeart stands at the forefront of a cultural shift. Nikki is challenging the outdated norms that have long dictated the way that women age, live, and how they perceive themselves. She was a former professional ballet dancer, and now she is helping women break free from diet culture into a new world under her stewardship that has become a sanctuary for women to seek a way to embrace their health, wellness, beauty, fashion, and live a life filled with adventure and travel. I know you all are dying to hear what Nikki has to say, and without further delay, my friend Nikki T.
Nikki T is someone that you absolutely want to know. She speaks our language. If you're in my world, you know that I serve and love women over 40 with just undying loyalty because these are my sisters. So I can't wait to introduce you to another sister from another mister, Nikki T. Welcome, Nikki. Thank you so much for being here and being on our show.
Karen, thank you so much. I am so excited to sit down and talk with you.
Well, we're going to have some real conversations today. When we talk about moving rocks, you can't fake it, right? You have to get real. So we're going to just spill the tea and go real and uncover all of the myths and everything that people want to know about the real Nikki T because she has been unveiled recently. She's gone through an evolution. So I can't wait for you to share that with our world. So tell me, the first question that I love asking is, what is the biggest rock that you've faced in your life and how did you move that?
So before I answer that, I want to say I love your concept of, the rocks. We carry these boulders with us and we put them down, but I love the concept of like laying them down for people to follow, right?
Yeah,
Because
you.
I feel like, especially women over 40, I feel like we step into this empowerment mode of like, though I have met some younger kids or women that are in this
Mhm.
era, but it's like you just don't care anymore, right? You have this like burning desire to do something, to be someone, to have that ripple effect in the world. And I just love having these conversations, and those rocks that we're putting down are, we're changing generations, right? We're changing the narrative from what we were taught versus like I have a 17-year-old daughter, and then she's going to carry that on. So I love that. I feel like women over 40 in general are having these conversations and opening up the idea of like, yeah, there is more for us, right? We don't have to just wither away once we hit menopause and all that. Right?
Absolutely. And I think because we're having these conversations, hopefully it's changing the narrative sooner and sooner and sooner. So women don't have to wait till they're 40 to start, shedding the layers of what people think
Yeah.
and carrying on the burden of everybody else. And that self-sacrificial bull that we tend to do for so many years, thinking we have to be a certain way to be loved, to be seen, to be heard, to be accepted, to be a good mom, good wife, good fill in the blank, or be enough, right? It's just, it's all unnecessary. So I hope that our message is getting out to women sooner and sooner and sooner, so that women like our daughters can, never pick it up. I would love for that to be the
Like
case, but
really shattering the standard of what is
really
expected.
shattering.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in an empowered way,
Right.
not a, I don't need a man kind of way, but in a, I don't need to be someone that I'm not to
Yes.
be all, all the things. So
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. So
Well, that leads right into my boulder.
yeah,
You
your
wanna go
boulder,
there?
right? It's not just a rock,
It's
it's a
not
boulder.
just a
Sometimes
rock.
it's a whole mountain.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because before we were talking, I kind of had these ideas of rocks, right? And but as you were doing the intro, I was like, my biggest rock, the big thing in that backpack is really living a life where I thought that I was like I had this concept of myself. Like I thought I was really strong, independent woman, badass, all that
Right.
stuff, right? But what I found was I wasn't living that. That
Mm.
wasn't that wasn't my that was my persona, that was my self-concept, but I wasn't truly being that person. So I know we've had conversations, but I used to be a professional ballet dancer back in my day. And with that, it's a beautiful, beautiful performing arts. Um, and I love telling people that I was a professional dancer, and I have for years, up until the past couple years, because I never realized how traumatic being in the ballet world was, right? From how you look, they don't teach you good nutritional anything, right? I was very fortunate. I did not have anorexia or bulimia, but very disorganized eating, right? There's this whole body image of how you have to look a certain way. Now, Karen, I know you've met me in person. I am pretty short. I am not your typical ballerina body type, right? But it's that outside validation that they teach you and
Right.
kind of loop you in the cycle of constant reward devalue, right? And it goes over and over.
Yeah.
And again, this is my experience. I know I've talked to other ballet dancers who did not have that experience, and I do think it's changing, but this is part of what I went through as a rock, where, I thought it was a very pretty rock. And now I'm realizing it wasn't, there was a lot of stuff with it. And now that I'm older and, I've been in the fitness industry, weight loss industry since 2002.
Yeah.
And right before that, I was in physical therapy. So I know the body really well, but when I journeyed on my own, it was teaching dieter's mentality. It was teaching all the stuff that I'd picked up along the way and been told what to do and how to do it. And people got results, but what I found later through my own journey of discovering mindset and going through that process was that weight loss can be more fun. It doesn't have to be dieter's mentality, and it's all about what's going on between your ears.
Right.
My other bigger rock was my marriage. So I was married for 20 years, I think. It's kind of a blur now, which is ironic because it's not that far away when I left. But going through the marriage, and again, the person that I was attracting this partner, was attracting the things that happened in the relationship, and I was not aware of it. Like, again, that self-concept I had was really just like a facade, right? Because that's not who I was. I was very much looking for outside validation, very much in that whole cycle of ballet where it was devalue, you get rewarded, then you get devalued, then you get rewarded, devalued. And when I actually woke up and realized that what I was kind of doing to myself, right? I can't blame other people because again, I'm responsible for the things that I bring into my life. It was very eye-opening and very illuminating. And I just turned 50 this past year. I left, got my own place, all new things, pivoted my
Yeah.
business into MavenHeart. It's really like MavenHeart to me really holds a special space because, and I have to bring out my little pendant, which is the Phoenix. It really is like a touchstone for me because it reminds me of where I've been and where I'm going, right?
Right.
And to be present in the now. Because again, we spend so much time in the past of like, oh my gosh, all this stuff happened or whatever. And then we spend so much time in the future of like, well, what if? But we don't spend enough time like in the now of like, no, I'm really good where I'm at in this moment in time. MavenHeart is really the space where I want people over 40 women to come and really be authentic with themselves, right? Because again, that was my issue. I wasn't authentic with myself. I didn't even know I was not being authentic with myself. I think that's the biggest kicker of it all, because I wasn't aware, right? You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
But stepping into that authenticity, you know, I kind of tweaked my name. I'm taking my maiden name back, and Nikki is a nickname. So this whole new person that I'm stepping into is really me. I just was kind of didn't realize the other one all through my life, right? But that other Nicole created this Nikki T that's here today. So I'm so
Yeah.
grateful for the experiences that I did have, because I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be the coach that I am.
I love all of this. So for those that don't know about all the evolution, and they're sitting in their situation and they're saying, you know, I'm a really strong woman and I'm really capable and I'm all these things, but I'm miserable because I'm not functioning that way, right? So you know what you desire to be, you know who you are for other people. But when you're not stepping into that place for yourself, it feels very much out of alignment.
Mhm.
And I think that's where so many of us feel the heaviness of the rock, is when we do something for other people, but we don't do it for ourselves, or we want it, but don't pursue it. Um, what, what was it about this evolution to Nikki? Like, what changed that? What tripped the first domino? Or how did you even recognize that there was a disconnect or a misalignment with who you wanted to be and who you saw yourself as?
I think the biggest pivot point was when I realized the relationship that I had with my now ex-husband and the person that I was being, right? So for me, it's funny, I just did an interview with somebody else and they were talking about like pauses in your life, right? And I'm like, well, my pauses were like forced on me. There was no like option. It was like, you need to change and you need to change now. You know, it's like that saying where God will knock, and if you don't listen, he'll do something else, and then a Mack truck will come and take you out, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it was the awareness of what my truth was. So meaning, and as you were talking, the question I want everybody listening to ask themselves is to question your truth, right? The story that you tell about yourself, is it really true? And if you do feel like it's true and it doesn't align with what you're doing, then it's not your truth.
Yeah.
So my awareness in what was going on and my own journey of really deep self-discovery. There was a lot of spirituality that came into my life. A lot of questioning, right? Of like, what is my truth?
Right.
What is
Did you
really,
find when you started questioning one thing that was really pivotal for you, you began questioning everything?
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
it was really a snowball. And I think to those that are listening, get support. If you come to that point, I had some great support around me for sure, coaches, therapists, because for me, it felt very isolating. It felt like I had fallen down this like well, and there was no ending to be found, right? And it was very like, it was dark. It was really, you know, just not a good headspace. But again, I feel like it's interesting. The more I talk about this, the more spirituality starts to come out. But there's a saying that, and it doesn't matter what you believe in, whether it's universe, God, whatever, but there was a thing that goes around that says, when you're changing or evolving, God will separate you, right? And part of the separation is so you'll hear his voice, right?
Yeah.
Again, so if it's universe or whatever, but for me, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense, because you still want to have support, but you're very isolated, right? And there's this whole transformation that's happening, but it's like the phoenix. you got to burn it down in order for it to build back up. But stepping into what you think is your truth versus what is actually happening. So for me, yes, it was definitely that pivotal moment of like, oh my gosh, what is this life that I have fell into, right? And does it align with the future me that I envisioned? And it didn't, which is why I left. But yeah, it's just get support when you're ready to take that step.
Yeah. So MavenHeart was birthed out of the flames of this. And now you get the opportunity to take all of the rocks, all of the things that were heavy, once heavy, and lay those down and now carry these lessons forward in your MavenHeart program. What do you feel is for someone listening, they're like, oh my gosh, Nikki's like just speaking my language. I'm at that place where I'm starting to see the life. And this is what I feel like happened to me as well. So the life I was creating wasn't the life I wanted. And then all of a sudden I realized, holy smokes, I'm the one choosing this, right? Like I'm crafting this life that I hate. So the good and bad of that is I'm doing it to myself and I can make a different choice.
Yeah.
And so once they realize that, or once we realize it and we can make a different choice, what would you say is the first thing other than getting some support when someone's in that process of I need to choose support. I don't know who to choose. I don't know where to go. What were some of the things that helped you or that you now help other women to begin to create those boundaries and that pathway or the roadmap or whatever you want to call it? Like what was most helpful for you in that beginning stages?
So to tie this all up in a bow,
Yeah.
I first want to offer this saying that whatever you're not changing, you are choosing. I love that because it's very eye-opening, right? So if you're choosing to stay in a body that is overweight, right? If you're like one of these people that are like, I can't lose weight, I can't lose weight, you're choosing that, right? I know that's really hard to hear. And you're probably like, F you, Nicole, right about now. But or even if you're in a marriage that you're not happy with, and that doesn't mean you have to leave. It could just mean you need to do different dynamics with a relationship, right? But so MavenHeart really is this stepping into the authentic version of you. So if you are a woman over 40 who is like, you're not the woman that's like very content sitting on the porch watching time go by. Not judgment. That's your journey. But it's for the woman who is like, I want more out of this life. I want to make an impact. Like for me, and again, I feel like I am my first client always. I want to ding the universe. I want to make such a big splash and such a big ripple because I don't want women to feel the way that I felt, right? Whether that's me when I had the body, but was like struggling with the whole dyer's mentality and making myself miserable, like hating myself skinny. That's an option. You don't have to do that. But also whether it's embracing that next step, what is that next goal? What is the impact you want to make on this world? Because when we each step up, and I'm not talking, you don't have to like cure cancer or take over third world countries or anything like that. It could be something so like on a smaller scale, but it's that ripple effect. But if we all stepped into our power and really stepped up and were lit up by the things that we're doing and passionate about what our calling is, can you imagine the world that we would live in? Right. I mean, it blows my mind. The other first fact that I think was really apparent to me is, I just lost my train of thought. This is what happens when you're over 40 or 50. Your thought goes out. I don't know. It'll come to me. Shoot, I forget.
That's okay. So for those that are in the beginning stages of this, because this is really about the evolution and coming out of the ashes, because that's been my story, that's been your story. We have that commonality. But we serve in two different ways. So this is what's so amazing about serving is that, and this is one of the things that I think I love the most about having really strong, powerful women in my corner like you, is that we're not in competition with each other. We're elevating and supporting and giving opportunities to each other, because the people that need you in my world need you, right? They need your voice, they need your journey, your lessons. And there's so many humans on this planet that nobody can serve them all. And so I love this reframe of taking what's happened to us and seeing it as opportunities and using it to refine and go through the ashes, go through the flames and go through the ashes and come out this stronger, more powerful, version of ourselves that is not here to compare. Like we get to the place where that doesn't serve, it doesn't help, and it's not nice. It's not fun. So we just get to uplift and help each other. And I know that there are women out there, myself included, that can learn so much from you about how to love our bodies where they are and through the evolution, right? Because we don't just stay there,
Right.
but we start there.
Right.
And
Right.
so
But
go ahead.
that's on a whole nother level too, of like, again, I feel like we're taught as women to not like our bodies, right? There's a standard of like, if you don't look a certain way, and even if you do look a certain way, it's like, oh, you got to maintain that now, right? So it's not even women who are looking to lose weight, or it's also for the woman who has the body that she wants, but she's running around like a crazy person because she thinks, she has to be obsessed about this. I also want to offer to MavenHeart, yes, we can definitely talk about weight loss, and that is part of it. But the bigger picture of MavenHeart really is like, who do you identify with, right? We don't want anything out of life. We don't want the body. We want the feeling that comes with the body, right? We want to be something or someone, some version of ourselves, right? It's never about the tangible thing. It's always about the intangible. And so with MavenHeart, it's giving women the opportunity to step into that authentic person. We talk about health and wellness, fashion and beauty, and travel and adventure, right? Those are all the tangible things. But who is the person that you need to be to experience all those different things?
Yeah, I love it. So how did you, I mean, obviously you sought coaching. We both know that, we both worked with Sally. But what else did you do to help change the dialogue in your head? Because that, as you said, everything happens, right here between our ears. If you're listening and not looking, I'm pointing to my head. Everything, and right now, if you hear me, I have a cold, so a little stopped up, but everything goes on in our mind, right? It's about our thoughts and what we make something mean, or what it means about us or means about our opportunities. And there are things that just are habits. We do them merely out of habit, not by any level of conscious choice. So sometimes it's just changing that subconscious programming more so than anything. We're really just not thinking about the words we're using. We're using words that have just been, our parents used them or our friends used them or whoever we grew up around. It became common knowledge, or common habits. So how did you begin to change that language to step into the behavior and the attitude and the confidence of a maven? Because my audience, one of the things that I'm really magnetized to are women who are seeking confidence. They're seeking their voice. They're looking for that phoenix inside to rise up and begin to own that voice again, and their confidence, because of my adoption journey. As you know, like, that's something that I've battled with, was, even though I can do amazing things, somehow I never feel like it's good enough. It's never enough, right? That's the lesson that I learned through life is doesn't matter what you do, it can always fall apart. And so I've had to reprogram that and see it differently. So as you've gone through this, what are the things that you do to keep your mind reprogrammed and to change those neural loops and that neuroplasticity language inside, between your ears?
Yeah, that is a great question. That's a
That's the
lot of
work,
layers.
right?
Yeah. And and it doesn't stop, right? I don't think
Mm,
it really ever stops. I think you'd get better at it, but
mm,
yeah, so
for
for
sure.
me, I want to say a very pivotal moment in my life it was back in 2010, 11, somewhere around there. I had a studio, and that was my dream to have a fitness studio. It was going great. Long story short, I had to shut it down after a year. I had over 100 clients. It was, living my dream, but wasn't working. There was a lot
Mm,
of dynamics between the family and me having this business. So I shut it down. And I was like in a low point in my life. And I found the book, You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. Highly, highly, highly recommend. If you have not read that, go grab it now. Now, I disclaimer, there's a lot of F-bombs and curse words, but if you're good with that,
yeah.
a great read. It really shifted my life. I think I listened to that book on Audible maybe 20 times that summer. And that was really like I had dove into some of the mindset work back in the day, but I really like I had read Brian Tracy and things like that, Joe Vitale. But that book was like such a big shift. I was like, oh, I understand, right? Kind of locked in. I've had a bunch of different coaches that I have worked with. There are coaches that I was in groups in. Um, and I think here's the thing, like, yes, you want to get a great coach, right? You want to get somebody who is going to call you out on your BS. You
Yep.
want a good coach that can hear the words that you're saying that are in or out of alignment of what you truly want, right?
Yeah. And
So
sometimes the things you're not saying.
yes, right. What's between the lines.
Yeah.
So whenever yes, I want you to go grab a good coach, but if for some reason you wind up with a not so great coach, you will still learn something from them, right?
Mhm.
But I think all coaches need coaches too. I think you should always have a coach, like a
Yeah.
really good coach. Um, yeah, for me, it's interesting because you're talking about the thoughts and 100% agree with that. I feel like so my concept of thoughts, number one, are I am definitely an overthinker, right? I have tons of thoughts running through my head every day, and to kind of wrangle them like cats is a challenge for me sometimes. But what I have found is the space between the thoughts, right? There's a silence there that I try to tap into. That is my goal, to kind of quiet the mind, right? Because in
Yeah.
between each thought, there's this pause. And in that pause is the feelings, right? When I went through coaching, a lot of my peer coaches and coaches in general were like, you need to feel the feelings. And I was like, F the feelings. I don't know what that is. Right.
Yeah.
Again, grew up not, we weren't told to have feelings. We were told to be happy, sad. That's it. Like, or angry, happy and angry. You cried, that was not acceptable. Right. Um, when I started getting in touch, and it sounds so cheesy, with my feelings, like things really shifted because I think that's your what is it called? The divinity rod or the water rod, like your North Star is
Mhm.
your feelings. Because again, this, like we were talking about earlier, this what I thought was my truth was not, like, I was so numbed by not feeling anything, I couldn't recognize what my truth was. Like I didn't that, and I think that's part of the reason I was so on such default, right? And I think there's a lot of women out there who are running on default and they're not aware of it. They're like I have women that come in and my first question is, what is your BHAGs, right? Your big, hairy, audacious goals. And a lot of them don't have any, right? Or there's somebody who's an overachiever, right? And they think they've checked the boxes and they're living the standard set. This is how we're supposed to operate, right? From our conditioning and how we're taught. And they think they're doing great, but they're not in alignment with what they truly want to do. They're just running on automatic pilot all day long.
Yeah.
So I think that awareness of checking in with yourself of like, okay, this is my life. What is really true? And how do I feel about it? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And dive deeper into that. And that's where I think getting a coach is super helpful, because again, if this is something new to you, you don't know what direction to go to, right? And to your point about, you know, we're not in competition. I'm not in competition with anybody, because the way I speak about it is I'm the only Nikki T on the planet, right? That has my background, that has everything. You're the only Karen Gray that has your background and everything. So we're going to resonate with different people, right? And that's okay, because again, I feel like it's like we're all lighthouses, right? We're shining our light, and the people that want to go to the lighthouse, you come on over here. If not, you go to somebody else's lighthouse.
Yeah, I
And
think
that's
it's
okay.
it's actually it's beyond okay. It's like that's amazing.
Yeah. It's
Right? Like
how many
that's
people are on this
exactly
planet? 7 billion people, and we all have a special message to give
and
on
we're
some
all
level.
different, and we
Yeah.
all have different fingerprints and different, resonance, and we all have a reason to be here, yet somehow that reason is interwoven in this one tapestry that we're all here on this planet together at the same time.
Right. Right. And I think the irony is that like society tries to snuff it out. And it's like, so for me, the question becomes, is that our life's purpose, to really almost take the veil off of what society tells us is expected and really just tap into spirituality? Like, you know, that's a whole
nother conversation.
Yeah.
Well, I love what you're doing with the MavenHeart program, and would love for anyone that is watching this, if you've just stumbled across this on YouTube or on Spotify or wherever you found us, and you're like, wow, she's really just pulling at my heartstrings, where can they find you the best? Like, I know you're kind of all the places, but where do you hang out the most?
Yeah, so definitely go to the website mavenheart.co, C-O at the end. Everything is there, but social media wise, you can connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram. It's Nikki T. I think Instagram is at Nikki T MavenHeart or Nikki MavenHeart, one of those. So
okay, so MavenHeart is MavenHeart, just like you would think, but it's one word.
Correct. Yep.
And Nikki is Nikki,
Correct.
the letter
Yes.
T.
Yep.
So all of those links will be in the show notes, so they can, no excuses, they should be able to find you. But I just wanted to make it super simple, because I know I love to listen to podcasts when I'm walking and doing my thing around the house. I'm constantly listening and growing on something. So
we do have a brand new podcast coming out, depending on when this episode airs. The MavenHeart Show. Definitely check out that. We're having incredible guests, and also, yeah, just go check it out. Pretty much anything you want to know over 40 for a woman, that's going to be
all
the podcast.
conversations are on the table.
All conversations are on the table. Yep.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So final words for our guests for this show. If you could share one thing with them you want them to know about you that they probably wouldn't find on your social media feeds, but that has changed everything for you, what would that be?
Ooh,
No pressure.
No pressure at all. Oh my gosh. What is one thing that they need to know about me? You know what? I think it's, we look at social media and we see all the highlights, right? But we don't see the lowlights. And I just want you to know that I am a human being. I am not a robot. And like, I'm a normal person, right? I have normal human reactions. And just know we're kind of all in this together, right? We're all on the same playing field. There's no higher, lower status, whatever. Yeah, I just want people to know that I'm a human, and I get it. I get it when we're in the funk, and I get it when we're happy and excited about life too. So
yeah. Well, I've had the bonus pleasure of getting to hang out with you, spend some time, go through some really transformational events, our retreat, and some great conversations. And I know that one of my favorite things about you is you approach everything with this humorous curiosity. So you just have this mischievous curiosity about you. And it was so much fun to see that, because you are fearless in your pursuit, but you do it with like super high intent, right? There's always an intention behind the choices that you make. You take everything and really elevate it to a level. So I know that MavenHeart's going to be a huge success. And I know that anybody in your program is going to benefit tremendously from it, because you do things really well.
Thank you, Carrie.
So
Thank you. And I'm
honored to share this with the world and on my platform. So thank you for trusting me with your story and helping me move a few rocks today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I really try to bring some humor and levity to everything. Yeah, it's interesting that you said that, because there are times when I get very serious, right? So, but yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm honored to be a guest on your podcast, and I love what you're doing in this world. And
Thank you.
so glad that we met each other not too long ago.
Me too. So thank you again. And Rock Movers, thank you for showing up, for being a part of this journey with me. And as we end the story today, you know the saying, keep moving those rocks.